Hey guys, welcome back to the Paraconnection podcast. You're here with Schuler, Nate, and Ryan. Sadly, Kaylee won't be with us tonight. She had a couple things pop up. That's all right. We're going to go ahead and move forward with tonight's podcast because we have a guest that is meeting with us tonight. His name is Dwayne Johnson. He's from Oregon. So we'll let him introduce himself and kind of give a nice little intro once we get that call going through. But I think today's podcast is going to be pretty good. We're going to talk about some basic paranormal investigations and different types of methods and approaches along with protection methods. So I know we've kind of knocked on that topic before, but I think Dwayne's got a couple of points that he's going to make out to us that he likes to do during a investigation when it comes to protection to be safe. So all right, so what we're going to do is go ahead and jump into the call with Dwayne. It was myself and Nate. Ryan wasn't able to make the call with us, but that's okay. We're not going to hold that against you, Ryan. But yeah, Nate and I, we were able to talk with Dwayne ourselves, so we had a little, good 23 minutes worth of talk time with him. So we'll go ahead and start with that conversation first. And then we'll jump into the second part where myself, Nate, and Ryan talk about our own personal experiences with paranormal investigations and protection. So let's go ahead and move forward with the call with Dwayne. Here we go. All right, Nate, we got the call through to Dwayne here. Dwayne, can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Awesome. We can hear you just fine, man. You're coming through clear. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm pretty good. How have you guys been doing today?
That's good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good, man. Yeah. Yeah, over here in Indy, we finally got some warm weather coming through, so we're enjoying it pretty well, but we might have some rain. But warm rain, I'm fine with.
Yeah.
Yeah, rain is life in Oregon, so I know what you mean.
Yeah, you are on the West Coast. If you don't mind, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how you got into the paranormal, reaching out to us, all that good stuff.
Sounds good. My name's Dwayne Johnson. I always hate to say it, but it's like The Rock, so that's how people remember my name pretty well.
Yeah,
I started back in Michigan, I felt like about 10 or 12 years ago, actually. Just researching, messing around with as a kid, just looking at little haunted places in my area, and always even when I was younger, I was interested in it. But back then was the first time I could really investigate because I was old enough to kind of go off on my own. And then after that, I kind of just always read about it. And then I got lucky enough to go to a university that was kind of haunted. And then that's really where I felt like my career took off and spawned off. Right now, it's funny. I was on a break on it for a long time. And then when I moved back out here to Oregon, I got into actually just messing around with just cleansing and tarot cards. And I told people about my past, and they found it so interesting. And they were always wanting stories. And I'm like, well, those are old stories. I could find something here and show you some evidence, Yeah. And so I dove back into it again, and ever since I've been loving it again. So, I probably just started back investigating again for the last 2 or 3 months, and I've already grabbed some pretty good stuff. So that's a little about me.
Wow, Dwayne, that's pretty cool. I remember when you reached out to us, you said West Coast, and I instantly thought California because typically that's where I've had more contacts come from. But you're out there in Oregon, and I have to say,
oops.
He's our first contact from Oregon. That's
well,
pretty cool.
I have family that lives in Oregon too.
So when you guys come out, then we could definitely do some investigating. But yeah, most people are from Cali. I know it. I run into them all the time out here. So
that's all right, man. It makes you unique,
Yep. Oh yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I got to hold it down for out here, Oregon.
From what you were saying, you kind of jumped into the whole paranormal game when you were reaching into the college level. Is that right?
Yeah, that was the time I actually was able to really dive into it because it was funny. I just felt like it was one of those things where it was a lot easier to tell your mom, when you're in college, to go and hunt a local cemetery near you or a haunted place near you. And then you don't have to come home and say, oh, Mom. She's like, where are you at? Walking around a cemetery looking for ghosts.
Yeah. Yeah, I know I've had some conversations like that with my mom, and she flipped.
Yeah, yeah, I know the feeling.
It's come on now, you know what I mean?
They don't care.
Yeah, now they don't care. They just look at you weird, you're my child? What?
Yeah, I've accepted it now, so it's I'm good with it,
Okay.
So.
I'd rather be paranormal than normal anyways, but So Dwayne, have you had any experiences or interests before you got into the college level, growing up young or anything, or did it just kind of happen?
It was weird, because more so as a kid, it was just one of those things where, I just read the books when I was I remember 7 years old getting the books out of the library and just reading. I'm like, oh, this is cool. And I was like, oh, why don't people talk about this if there's so many accounts and stories of it? So even as a kid, I was kind of like, oh, if I could see this and find it myself, then there's no way you can disbelieve it. Then I found no, some people can have it happen right in front of them. Nope, I can't believe it. So I was kind of more so curiosity to say, oh, if I can see it and actually hear a voice or something, then I guess there's no way I couldn't believe that this like type of world exists or all of these things are out here. So that's really what drew me to it as a young person.
Gotcha. That's really interesting, Dwayne. Yeah, I have to agree. I never really looked for anything. I knew of it, but I never thought it was like the coolest thing in the world. I was like, okay, that's different, But I was more into video games, zombies, and skeletons. But high school time is kind of when it hit me. I got bored. I wanted to do more than just hang out with my friends at the mall and play video games. So started watching Ghost Adventures, and next thing you know, I'm a ghost investigator.
I wasn't allowed to believe any of that stuff because my stepmom was
pretty
kind
strict.
of, yeah, like nothing. Halloween was evil. Everything was evil. But my dad was just like, whatever. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, I noticed my dad was cool about it. My mother was like the kind of religious one, so it was like no familiar spirits in my house, blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, I'm scared of all of this now.
Well, and then like the Halloween thing was interesting because, Halloween wasn't originated as like a blood and gore, whatever it turned into. It was actually a pagan holiday.
Yeah,
celebrating the Festivus, or getting ready for Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't it kind of tie into like protecting the community against evil spirits too? Yeah.
Yep.
And that's cool that you're talking about Halloween, Nate, because that kind of goes into our topic today. We're going to talk about paranormal investigations with Dwayne, along with protection measures. So I guess that kind of ties into the history of like the first big method of protection, which used to be Halloween, but nowadays it's just like a commercialized, gory holiday to get scared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It used to be so much more though. So Nate, along with that, were you really into the paranormal before I met you in 2017 at the library? Did you really think
it was
about
just all those shows.
Just the shows.
Yeah, I was obsessed with the shows, and then I realized that it was all fake.
Yeah, a lot of it's
not all
Hollywood.
of it. But...
Not all.
Oh, I know. Wasn't that so disappointing? I was like, guys, you're making it so hard for all of us now out here.
Maybe 95% of it's fake. That 5%, there probably are some real things.
There's no way all that happens in one night. No way.
Especially back to back to locations.
No way.
That's the weird part. I noticed like when we think about like when we do our investigations, you'll get that one good hit and you're like, yes, I got that one good piece of evidence. It's like these people are having like things walking, things thrown. Like I'm like, oh my god.
What are we doing wrong?
You've been placing
Right?
for weeks in a row and nothing's ever happened.
Oh yeah. Yep. Back to back, week after week, and nothing. I mean, we might get a little light anomaly. We might get a little random sound underneath something, but no doors slamming, nobody getting slammed against the
Not
wall. I mean, yeah. So Dwayne, going into paranormal investigations, sir, let's see here. What would you say? Well, let me kind of bring that back a little bit. With your team, how do you investigate? How do you guys approach a paranormal investigation? What are your guys' method, mindset going in?
Okay, well, since it's funny because now we are like such a new team, like it's kind of like 3-4 of us, but it's like we're brand new. We need a name. So anyone listening to this or hears this, please shoot names towards me. I need them. But our main thing is like for me, I always kind of give everyone kind of roles really, and it's like we all fall into those roles like naturally, kind of how we came on the team. So some people might be like focusing more on just like, I know one girl, she's kind of like into like witchcraft and things of that nature. She'll maybe focus on just protection methods, right? Things like that. I know I like to focus a lot on the history and just like the equipment we might bring. And now I have a guy who's like really big into like the video and just like recording. So he makes sure all of our sound and just like we have like a camera set. So I really like, I don't know, it kind of divvy up the duties now. Cause I remember back in the day when I was doing this really by myself mainly, it was me doing everything. And so it was like almost making a checklist of just like, all right, make sure I remember this and that, and then dive in there, and it's just like so much easier when you got help because you got someone that wants to do like maybe even just, I'll handle this on our YouTube and upload this and that and afterwards, and I'm like, well, I'll be handling this, so when we go into the investigation we can give a little history of the place and just know kind of certain spots even we want to check out. So
oh yeah, I totally agree on that. It does help a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that out, getting Nate and Ryan and even Kaylee on the team now, we've been able to do the same thing, more distribution of roles and being able to make our team a little more, it's just easier to make the team breathe and we kind of just function easier. So I totally get where you're coming from on that, Dwayne.
100%. Yeah. And I mean, for me, it's funny because like I said, a lot of our new members are still like, I guess learning like really like their main roles, but it's like it's good because everyone is kind of getting a chance to learn a little bit more as they go about this as well. You know, I can probably open up their roles to something more too. So it's good. It's revolving roles, I call it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So a little quick history on your paranormal team. What was it like when you first started up to the point of where you're at now with your current team?
Well, because this team here in Oregon is really brand new, like literally like this team is about, I'd say like 2 months new. So there's really not much of a history with them. I can say for my other teams in the past, when Michigan was the ones which we kind of had a bit longer. The history more so, I guess you could say about them was it was a bunch of just friends. And that's why I think the problems lie, because it was more so friends I brought into it because I had an interest in it, but their interest wasn't as much into it. With the people I have now, which just makes me so excited, is they're just as interested. And I said, I've never had this where I don't have to like drag you to come to like do this for me, you know, just because you say you're part of a team. These people like I found them at different spots. Like one of the guys, I met him actually going to a class talking about just paranormal stories and stuff one time. And I was like, well, you want to go on an investigation? All right. And it was like perfect. So I like the people out here that are really about it. It makes it so much easier.
Nice, Dwayne. Yeah, I can really relate with that, you know, a lot from my team in 2011 to 2012 to 2014, 16, and now, you know, 2019. And I'm sure Nate and Ryan and Kaylee, especially Nate, because he's been here the longest out of the rest of the guys, he's seen some changes in the past couple years. And, you know, a lot of things have really, you know, increased to be on a better level than they used to be. And you're so right. You know, it's good to have your friends there with you, but if they're not really into it like how you are, it's not really going to better your team or your efforts. So going out there, finding new people for the paranormal that's already into it, that can also not only help your team, but establish new friendships. So it's a really good thing.
No, that's very true. And I feel like just like with finding people that were already kind of like into it, a lot of times it just seems like their enthusiasm is a bit like different than when your friends are just kind of like, I'm just happy to hang with you. You know, kind of.
Exactly. So, you know, going on with that too into the paranormal, let's get on to the investigation part, Dwayne. Do you have any good investigations, whether it's from, you know, the first day that you started with the paranormal up until now? Do you have any good investigations you like to elaborate on? Tell us about some things you got, places.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess this one ties into like the protection. It's almost like the first story I like to tell everyone about my paranormal experiences, because it ties into me really just getting started and everything in general. But like I said, I started in college, and the reason was there was like a church that they said was having things going on, and everyone knew like I was kind of into the paranormal, so they invited me over there, right? And I was like, all right, let me check this out or whatever. So I went over there a few times, talked to the people over there. They seemed like they were pretty cool and whatnot. And then I wouldn't have any like issues, you know, anything. I wouldn't see anything over there. So I'm like, whatever. And then I came back another time. They were freaking out, and I was like, all right, well, let me actually like buckle down. And that's why I dragged my friends, and we really investigated the place. And nothing, but they're saying shadows and everything else back there. So I'm like, okay, maybe these people are seeing it, maybe not. It's funny because this ties into where I started doing protections and cleansings and things like that. About 4 years later, actually, and I don't know, I tie it to this because they were saying so many shadows around the school and stuff. I'm walking across the campus, just like walking across to my apartment. And I look up in my apartment, you know, and all the lights are on for some reason. And there's like a big shadow, something about 10 or 11 feet, like touching the ceiling almost, in my room.
Jeez.
And I saw it straight through there. And this is why I was like, okay. So it was kind of funny because I was calm about it, because I knew exactly what it was. Like, oh, that's a shadow creature. It's right in my room. Why is there a ghost in my room? Yeah. And I was like, well, this is what I've been chasing the whole time. I said, so dang it, follow me home. That's the first thing I thought. And it was funny. When I went upstairs, all the lights were off upstairs. Our door was locked and everything. I saw the thing move across. It was the freakiest, the most surreal type of thing I saw, but it was kind of crazy how it moved across. And then I saw 2 red eyes while it like looked through like the blinds at me. So I was like, okay, I know what this is. Ran upstairs. They even looked at the footage, nothing. And then after that, I don't know, I always kind of felt kind of weird or whatever. And I don't know, I went to like, I guess like a tarot reader who was like into cleansings. And that's where I kind of learned like, yo, if you go on investigations or you deal with spirits, sometimes you might have to cleanse yourself because there's other things that can follow you. And to this day, after that investigation, I was like, I'm always going to cleanse. And I mean, I still got pictures from that investigation. It was like the best one I ever did, like in a Catholic church. And it was just like amazing.
Wow. That's really interesting, Dwayne.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, first off, you got a stereotypical shadow person creature story, and I love those a lot. And for the fact that you actually had a personal encounter, I can even sense the sincerity of it, like what you saw. But you weren't really scared of it, like most people are. You're like, okay, here we go.
That was the funny part, though. Like, I was happy to see it because it was like almost kind of like how I told you as a kid. I always wanted to say, if I saw it myself, then I can believe it's true. And I'm like, I can believe how people can say ghost or whatever it is may not be real, but like when you actually see it, you're like, okay, because it was the surrealist thing. It glided across there. It glided across, and it turned on every light as it went across each room. I said, this is real. I was freaking out. I said, I've never saw one again, never seen anything like that again, but I knew exactly what it was, saw how it like moves, the energy manipulation, everything. And I was just like, okay, that's cool. Like, it was,
Yeah.
I almost wondered though, but it's funny thinking about that too, because I was like, maybe the thing was following me naturally. But I said, I wonder if that apartment like suffered from that. Like, I always wonder like if things like that like stayed there, or did it follow me for a while until I actually started cleansing myself. So it's interesting.
It's very interesting. I mean, you're giving me cold chills because I'm thinking back to the this old insane asylum that we used to investigate from 2011 to late 2014 roughly. And I had a similar encounter. I've had things follow me home, which only happened once, but that's because I brought objects back with me.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Once I took them back, I said prayers, I put it back in the location. The same night, everything stopped, but it didn't stop for a whole month because I didn't know what was going on. And things got so bad, I felt sick every day. I had to go to the doctor twice. And I finally woke up, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't any type of normal thing. There's something going on. I've been doing paranormal investigations. Wake up, Schuler. And then on top of that, I haven't seen a shadow creature like that, Dwayne, but I did see at the same location a woman in white. And I've talked about both of these stories back and forth, so I won't go too much into detail about it, but I can talk to you a little bit more in detail after. But I saw a woman in white, and she did like the same thing that your shadow creature saw. And she was a woman that actually, I could tell she was a female, and she was white. She had no feet. She glided from one spot of this giant courtyard that we were in. She went to another side, and then she just disappeared in the smoke, literally like smoke from a cigarette. And it was just really weird. And that was the only time I've ever seen quote unquote ghost like you. And it was so surreal, and I'll never forget it. So
I like it though, because when you finally had that first real experience, because it's like we get like hits, like you say, with stuff all the time out there, where people are like, "Oh, your pictures are cool. You got like this, that." I'm like, but when you actually see it like that close, and you're like, "Whoa, I don't know how to comprehend this."
It's like your whole vision changes, your reality changes. It's not on TV. It's literally right there with you in life itself. And it's like, holy crap.
I actually have a quick story about that I'll share, but I have a friend who she like used to like love like watching these like haunted shows and about people telling stories about living in haunted houses and stuff or whatever. So it was fun. She'd come over, we watch it for hours. And she knew I was always into that, so she'd send me links. And she said her friend or cousin was like, I think it was her cousin, she kept saying like, my house is haunted. And she used to like kind of ignore her, like, oh, okay. Well, she said she was over there one time, and she saw movement of like two kids move past and like go up the stairs, and she thought it was her kids. And she was like, Tish, why aren't your kids in bed? She was like, no, I told you, the house is haunted. Those are the ghost kids we were always dealing with. And the first thing I asked her, I said, so how did your mind comprehend that? Because now you're saying she's telling you what you didn't see, and she's telling you what it is, but in the normal box you can't like comprehend it. She was like, oh, I'm confused. And I was like, good. So now you're thinking, you're kind of confused. You can't just put it in that normal box that we always do. And I loved it when that happened. So
me too, Dwayne. Yeah, because it really makes people's minds open to a whole nother level. Like it's a different type of logic.
Yeah,
exactly.
So real quick, Dwayne, about protection measures, do you have any type of advice that you could give our listeners or even to us? Like, what do you recommend is the best type of protection, and why when it comes to spiritual?
Definitely. I'll tell you what I'm doing right now, because like I said, I pay attention to like a lot of white witchcraft type things now. That I felt like those are the best methods I've learned. I mean, some people believe, like I believe even the charging of ambulance of protection, but for me, the things I always work with, sage. I keep some sage in the car even, so I'll sage the car after I leave a place, and even entering, my house or whatever. Another thing that I've actually found that I think works great for me has been it's a gemstone. I think it's a gemstone anyway. Obsidian. It's like a black rock obsidian, and they say like blocks negative energies and supposed to be like a protective stone that works really well. So I wear that around me for every investigation, like a bag of obsidian and quartz.
Yeah.
And also I've learned from Wiccan world, St. John works. I sprinkle it at my window and sprinkle it at my door, and it like kind of like feels like creates a barrier. And I feel like if mentally it's there, then hopefully the energy is being there to protect me from nothing comes in and out of my room with me, or if it does, it's going to be sitting at the front, the door more so than anything else. So
exactly. Yeah, and I think Nate relates a lot with you on this too, because he's done a lot of research when it comes to protection and other natural positive relics that you can use to protect yourself from the spiritual world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot.
There is a lot, isn't there?
Yeah. Some stuff people kind of, you have to know how to use it, but you also, I mean, if you think that like, if you're not in the right mindset and you use it, in my opinion, I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah.
Because
that's what I feel like too. I feel like that too, 100%.
Yeah, it has to be, you have to have the right intention. You can't just like, oh, like, I'm going to go to the Walmart and buy some sage and then sprinkle it around. Like, that's not
going to work.
No.
You actually have to try to connect yourself to a certain level for it to work, right?
Yeah.
And that's where like I learned from like the Wiccan, all the intent or energy and all of that, because it's true. It's like you can throw sulfur. The thing I've told my friend, they say burn sulfur around your house, and if bugs leave, then it's like, a bad spirit left or something. I was like, dude, you can burn this sulfur all day I'm giving you, but if you don't believe in it, then whatever is sticking to you, it's gonna just stick there. So
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I totally agree with you guys on that. When it comes to these protection methods, though, whether they're relics or a sage or anything like that, what do you feel is their energy that protects you? Like, are they natural positive energies, or is it your spirit that connects to the object?
Sometimes I feel like it's my own energy that really like charges the object, so it's really like a connection, because I feel like wearing that bag around everywhere, it knows me, it's with me, it's always there by my heart especially. Yeah. So I feel like by connecting and like you said, that intention and belief of our own kind of like makes that object powerful. It's almost as if like in the movies when you see the guy holding the cross and then the vampire just crushes it. Like, you don't believe that, dude.
That's a really good example.
So, and I think of that every time. I'm like, so when I get stuff, I'm like, I'm believing. Like, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, better safe than sorry, right, Dwayne? Yes, it's like you're focusing the energy to one spot, and it makes it powerful enough for you to actually be able to utilize it and keep things back.
100%, I agree.
So, Dwayne, I know that you're running a little short on time with us, sadly. Before you go, if you have any type of social medias or any way for people to reach out to you in your local area, or that just want to talk to you, do you have any social medias or outlets that people could reach you by?
Yes, definitely. I'm going to change my Instagram name, but for now it's pdx.terra, and I use that for everything now, like paranormal at the moment. I don't use Twitter as much anymore, but we'll be working on that. But just hit me up on Instagram, since most people have that, and I'll message you, and definitely would like to work with anybody who wants to listen.
Okay, and for whenever you do change your name, do you have a email or anything that people could look you up to have?
100%. Yeah, always message us, even if it's like paranormal inquiries, at Dwayne O. Johnson Jr. at gmail.com.
Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome, Dwayne. Yeah, we'll for sure keep in touch with you, man. And it was a blast having you on the podcast. And we'll have to bring you back, get some more time and talk some more stories, because I think Nate and I had a really good time with this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I definitely got more stories. I wish I could have spent more time, because it sounds like we would have had like some fun for sure on here. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at least 2 days worth, Dwayne.
Yep. Easily.
Well, Dwayne, once again, man, thank you for coming on, and do keep in touch, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. It was nice talking to you guys. You take care.
All right, guys. I think that was a pretty good talk with Dwayne. I really enjoyed that conversation. Had a lot of discussion on the protection method, which a lot of the things that he tied in were things that we've talked about with other people on our team, especially Kaylee and other investigators that we had that's come on the team and shared their experiences and methods and whatnot. So I don't know, that was really interesting. I mean, just to have other people from around the world, even, whether or not it's the United States or across the country, it's nice to be able to have all these different relatable topics and protection methods. Some differ, of course, but in this case, there were a lot that I actually understood and kind of related to myself from experience. So, Nate, what about you? What do you think about the conversation with Dwayne?
He was a joy to speak with, and he sounded very knowledgeable. I thought it was very interesting to hear about some of his experiences that he's had personally, especially when he talked to us about when he was in school, walking back to his apartment, seeing this shadow figure in the window.
Yeah, I think from that experience, he was woken from that one experience. That's what really made him think about different protection methods. Because, I mean, yeah, you're looking for this type of stuff. You understand it to some extent, but like you said, once you actually see this thing face to face, it's kind of a surreal moment. It's like, okay, it's not just on TV. It's not just in books. It is very real. And I think anybody in their right mind, once they witness something like that, you're going to kind of branch out and look for a way to protect yourself. Because you can't just beat it up. You can't use a gun or a knife on it. You can't just call the cops and have it taken away. It just, in this situation, things like that are just, even to this day, kind of taboo. People look at you like you're weird or not understand you or not believe you.
Yeah.
So, and I really keyed in a lot because there's a lot that you've shared with us on the podcast and even outside the podcast with different protection methods from the research that you've done and different things that you've been taught by other people. It's just a lot that you've understood and that you've maybe not completely understood, Nate, but at the same time you took it in and you're like, all right, so if this protection method works but this one doesn't, what is the in-between of why it does and why it don't? I mean, there's a lot of things he said that you have also said.
I've learned a lot of things from other people, and there are some things I still don't understand, but it all comes down to you have to have the right intention when using those things.
You do. You really do. And, jumping over to Ryan now, he's optimistic. You're optimistic, Ryan. But at the same time, you're more or less like, I really have to see it to believe it, which I totally respect. And I'm in the same boat, too, sometimes, especially when it's something new to me that I've not experienced or I don't understand. I'm like, okay, I need to see this first before I can be like, yeah, I understand what you're saying and I believe you. Because I really don't. I'd be lying to them and myself. So with what we've shared with you from Dwayne, his experiences with the shadow person and his protection methods being, energy crystals, I can say holy relics, but it doesn't have to be like a holy biblical relic. It can be something that you feel is safe. It can protect you from something evil. Whether or not it's a rosary, a rock, some type of candle, some type of necklace or a charm, sage in, Nate's case. Different stuff like that with these stories going on. I mean, we've talked about this several times. Different protection methods and all that stuff. How do you feel they tie into the real world and the spirit world? Like us as investigators, when we go on an investigation, what do you feel is necessary for protection?
I guess for me going in, it's just more common sense of what you're going to get yourself into.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't wear any types of religious relics or anything, but I just go in there. I guess I'm more open-minded to see if something happens.
Yeah.
Of course, I don't want something to attack me, but
of course,
I think I'm just more going into it and say, I just want to see what happens, and if I know if something attaches to me, and they're like, okay, wow, this really does happen. What I need to do next time to help protect myself.
Yeah.
Going forward, I think when you use the relics and stuff, I think you're I don't want to say you're afraid of it.
Yeah.
It sounds, you know what I mean? It sounds like you just. I don't know. It just seems like it seems like it's a blocker.
I gotcha.
To maybe, I don't know, to understand it or something. You know what I mean? It just seems like a blocker.
Well, what I tried to understand with Dwayne about his understanding of relics and actual positive objects, I asked him, what do you think actually charges them to make them able to protect you? Are they a natural element, like silver or something in the ground, some type of rock, or is it something that you connect to yourself, like your own personal energy? Yeah. Like you actually focus your energy into this object, and it can be used like a weapon, in a spiritual weapon in a way. When you go into an investigation and you go there and you want to protect yourself and you don't have something to focus your energy to, it's just you and the location. So maybe some people are like, okay, I really need something. It's just me and this spirit or whatever's here. They kind of freak out, they panic, they don't know how to utilize their spiritual power or energy until they have an object in their hand. So maybe it's more of a mental thing, but they also connect their energy to it, and that kind of amplifies. And that's what Dwayne and I kind of spoke about, could be a possibility of why a quote-unquote relic or a energy rock could work. And how do you feel on that theory? I mean, obviously,
No,
it's just a
I
theory.
mean,
but...
no, I can. No, I mean, I would agree to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because it makes sense to me, but at the same time, I don't know if you could just pick up an element or a rock and it's like automatically charged with something.
I don't think you can say, hey, this rock is going to protect me. I feel like it's going to be like over time.
Yeah.
You have to put trust into the object that you're bringing with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you're using your energy.
Correct.
So you know what it is at the same time of understanding it.
Yeah.
So I get that. So it's kind of like a connection, like you said, it's you building that trust and a focus of your energy into one object. I know I'm repeating words here, but it's just really making me think. I've never broken it down like this. It's pretty interesting. Well, what about you, Nate? What do you think about the whole object and energy theory?
I think that there are stones and natural elements that are charged because they attract energy.
They're just made like that, like a magnet?
Because there's no way that limestone, for instance, holds on to energy. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why there's a lot of activity somewhere that has a lot of limestone.
Gotcha.
And I guess I don't really know because I've never dealt with relics.
Yeah, all of us as individuals and even as a team, we've not really utilized different items for protection or anything. I mean,
because I don't think we've used sage so far, have we?
We haven't.
We haven't used sage.
We haven't even used sage during an investigation or after. I mean, luckily, thankfully, we haven't had to, for one. But at the same time, I've never felt the need to take something with us. I mean, I feel like I can protect myself and even you guys to some extent with my energy. I don't need a relic. I don't need an item to take with me. I'm not against it. I'm totally fine with that because I feel like it could amplify the positive energy between all of us. It can make us feel more comfortable, all that good stuff. But I personally feel like I don't need that because where I'm at with my spiritual energy. But I'm totally open to it, though. That's for sure. You know, but whenever we go on investigations, like from last year, 2018, all the investigations we did, have you guys ever felt any, like, weird vibes to the point where you needed protection? Even when we had the little odd things that happened, did you ever feel, like, uncomfortable?
No, I don't know.
What about you, Nate?
I mean, before we went to the Monroe house, just because of all the stuff that we heard happened and assumed happened.
You think that was just more of a mental challenge than, like, a spiritual vibe?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Do you have any inputs, Ryan, about, like, the negative effects of not protecting yourself? Like, let's say, here's a good example. Like, let's say we go to the Monroe house again. Or we go to a jail or an asylum, and we finally get something. Let's say you get scratched by, literally, on your arms. It happens live. You see the scratches appear out of nowhere. There's no door. You're in the middle of a hallway, and it just goes down you. How would you react to protect yourself, or just mentally, how would you react to a situation like that?
I mean, I don't know. To me, I wouldn't want to freak out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would say, I would say, okay, please do not do that to me. I don't need to do this. You know what I mean? I think I would probably try to talk to it.
You'd be firm.
I would be firm with it. Like, don't do this to me. We're trying to, have a nice, civil conversation. You know what I mean? Like, trying to be civil with it. But then, I mean, I think if it goes more aggressive, I think then you have to be more towards protect yourself if it's a relic or something like holy water or sage or something like, you know what I mean?
Something that's of this world but not directly
I don't think
physical.
You should automatically go all the way to like something like holy water or something powerful. I think you just work your way up to it if it's really bad. So
you're more of like a plug and play to see what does work and how much you would need of it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, it can be weird, being in a situation like that. We haven't had that since you and Nate's come on the team. We've had some weird situations, but nothing aggressive to that degree. But what if it followed you home, Ryan? And Nate, I'm going to ask you these questions too. But what if it followed you home? Like, maybe not even got the scratch on your arm, but you had something follow you home. You're having doors slam. You feel uneasy sleeping at night. You don't even feel safe in your own house. It's just a gut feeling. How would you take the next steps to protect yourself or get around that?
Probably call Schuler.
Bring me over.
Schuler over.
Yeah, I could help. As long as you got good intentions, man. I got you.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, like, is that what you would do? You'd have me come over?
That's what I do. I was like, I mean, because you've been through before.
Yes, I have.
So, I mean, contact you first to
Yeah.
see what we need to do, or you come over and see what you think it is, and then we move on from there.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty weird, you know, whenever you have things follow you home. I mean, of course, I brought it upon myself. I took things home. You know, I took souvenirs that I thought were cool, and they were directed to some weird entity.
I mean, if it's not, like, evil, then
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah,
To be honest with you.
it'd be kind of cool.
It'd be kind of cool to have somebody here in the house.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be neat. Yeah, whatever I had was not nice, though.
What, you think so?
Nate, what's your
I don't
opinion on
know.
it? Okay.
Sometimes those good things can turn bad.
They can be trickster-like. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
They act good at first, but they're actually malevolent. And who's to say? You know, it was a person. And then, you know, it's good, acts good to get you over, and then takes advantage of you.
Yeah.
So Nate, jumping to you, let's start off reverse here with the questions. If you had something follow you home, and regardless if you knew it was good or bad, but you felt uneasy, you're having weird things happen in the house, what would be your first steps to protect yourself?
I don't know, honestly.
Really?
Mm.
So you wouldn't use sage, or, you know, have any type of method of, like, mentally keeping yourself strong?
I mean,
you would use sage because there's sage here.
Sage doesn't do everything.
I mean,
Different
that
sages
doesn't
have
do
different
anything,
properties.
but-
No, I mean, like,
you would try it,
sage
though.
doesn't, sometimes isn't strong enough for whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Would that be a first step for you, though? Would you at least try to sage the
Maybe.
home?
You'll probably go to a hotel.
Go to a
I'll
hotel?
probably think about it and then, like, you know,
They'll probably just test Baxter. Like, if it's in the room, I'll just put Baxter in there and see if he does anything with Baxter.
See if he reacts to it.
Yeah.
no.
Poor Baxter, the ghost dog.
I had a dream one time that was, like, recurring, like,
Really?
a long time ago when he was little, where we were in a house that was haunted, and there was this one room in the front that had a ceiling fan, and he was on the bed, and every time I looked out in the hall, there was these three figures,
That's really weird.
and then one day, all the room was tore up, and his bed was on the ground, and he was gone.
What?
And then I tried finding him for like 3 weeks. It was the same dream.
That is really
It
weird.
kept stopping and then starting back up again the next day.
Like a continuation.
Mm-hmm.
So, back to that original question. If you had something follow you home, you really wouldn't know what your first step would be? I mean, you said sage.
I don't know. I would think about it. Like,
Yeah.
think about.
One day at a time.
Sometimes it can be your mind, because there's people who have thought they've heard stuff and were messed with, and they were still kind of like not fully awake.
Gotcha.
So you just never know.
Interesting. Okay, so let's say that you had a very odd experience during a investigation with the team. Like what I asked Ryan. If you got scratched on the arm, you got slapped, you know, your glasses got knocked off, but you could see everything live. You knew that it was something intelligent but invisible, not physical. What would you do in a direct approach situation like that?
Slap them back.
Slap them back? Build up your chakra?
No, I wouldn't.
No. So Nate, in a live, direct situation like that, if you were attacked, I know you said that you'd slap back, but you're just kidding. Seriously, what would you do? What would you do in that situation?
Just say that don't bother me, whatever you are.
So kind of like Ryan.
Yeah, like don't, like, is there something you need?
I thought you would freak out more.
I would.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, fear does make the situation worse. You know, if you do panic, it can feed whatever that negative entity is.
First of all, Ryan likes to seem like he wouldn't freak out, but he probably would.
I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not the one who freaked out in the woods about a squirrel. Jumped down from the trees, I heard footsteps walking behind me.
Feet steps.
It was a squirrel with shoes.
Basically, it was a
We still
squirrel
need to
with shoes.
listen to that.
Yeah. Go back and listen to it again.
You need me to get those EVPs.
These guys are so easily
What was a
distracted.
squirrel? You hear like a little chirp.
Then this whole time we've been sharing the story, and people are like, "You guys are
I know,
freaking
but
out."
I'm the one that said it was fake all along.
A
You
ghost
guys-
squirrel.
You guys want to, you know...
I
It was
personally-
it was a ghost squirrel.
Now, actually, you probably need to listen to that one where you and Kaylee heard something at the gravestone.
Oh,
remember?
yeah.
When you guys heard
The humming.
Mm-hmm.
We heard the humming. Yeah. So, Nate, so you both of you have agreed that you guys would just deal with it on spot as like, leave me alone, don't touch me, you're not allowed to mess with me, and do your best not to panic.
After I panic.
After you panic.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So in my situation, as Ryan kind of already highlighted, I've had something follow me home before. So I'll start with that. And, you know, I've talked about this story plenty of times. And Ryan's very ecstatic right now. So's Nate. They're both falling asleep. So basically for a month, I had something follow me home because I took some stuff from a location, as plenty of people know. And I really didn't know what to do for a while. I thought I was sick. I went to the doctor twice. You know, doctor told me I had anxiety. Nothing really changed with anxiety or anything. So I finally had a epiphany, and I was like, okay, I'm a paranormal investigator. This is possibly a spiritual attachment. Well, I took everything back to the location I got it from. I have personal prayers, so I said a prayer, and that same night, everything stopped. And it happened for a month. It's pretty weird. So when it comes down to that, for me, I know how to push these things back. Obviously, if you have attachments or objects, take it back. For me, it's prayer. If you don't have objects, then it might be the home itself. It might be the land. It might be an object that came with the house. You know, so stuff like that you may want to cleanse. You can sage whatever it is that you have. And we've also discussed about prayer too. It doesn't have to be biblical prayer. It could be a prayer of just positive energies like Nate brought up. You know, it doesn't have to be directed towards a specific God or thing. As long as it's a positive type of mindset, that could put you on the right path of spiritually protecting yourself, because everyone has different beliefs, you know, and I believe everyone has the possibility of having protection, whatever that path may be. But as for a investigation itself, when it comes down to protecting yourself during an investigation, that can be tricky. It depends on if you want to stay there first off after you get attacked, or after you have some type of really weird or unsafe type of, you know, happening occur. Typically we like to stay around. So if I get scratched, if I get attacked, I'm going to say my personal prayers. I'm going to tell this thing like Nate and Ryan would to back off, be firm about it, stand my ground. We all have free will. So I feel that itself is a power. It's a spiritual power. And that's going to be able to give you that little bubble of safety, give you that time to kind of, you know, redirect your thoughts to what are you going to do? Are you going to stay there and continue to investigate? Are you going to leave? Do you feel certain that you can keep these spiritual attachments away from you and your loved ones? All that good stuff. Typically on an investigation, we don't take anything with us. You know, it's something that we've discussed on starting to do. Take some sage, take holy water, take anointing oil, take different relics and crystals, different stones like that. But for the most part, we've not. And we've had some pretty, you know, good results from the energies that we take with us, you know, of being protected. And also for the fact that we haven't really had too many negative encounters to begin with. So, but when it comes down to it, you know, just be firm, be strong to your best ability. Don't panic, don't freak out, even though it's natural too. It's going to happen. But as long as you don't just give in to whatever it is that's scaring the hell out of you, you're going to be fine. You know, it's not like the Hollywood movie show where a spirit or a demon's going to come out and just grab you by the throat and rip you apart. It doesn't work that way. Not typically. But you just have to remember that real investigating can be boring compared to the TV shows, and it can also be a little more scary than the movies, but also not as helpless as the movies show. There's more chance and possibilities of actually being protected. And back to Dwayne and his methods, I really feel like he touched down pretty good on the basics of protecting yourself and being able to understand what to do when you're in a situation you're not used to, especially being spiritual, you know. So I thought it was a pretty good talk, and a lot of things that we touched up on, like I said, they were pretty regular and very relatable, you know, because we've talked to a lot of people on this topic and all that good stuff. So I thought it was a pretty good time. Ryan, you got anything else that you'd like to put in with our investigations that we've had or upcoming in protection? Are there any new methods that you would like to try for this year's investigation? Better yet, yeah. Let me rewind that. For this year's investigations, is there anything new that you would like to try protection-wise?
Pentagram.
Pentagrams? You like to try that? See if it works?
I would.
With candles around it.
Really?
Yeah.
So like a salt pentagram?
Yeah, and get a sheep.
Okay. A sheet?
Sheep.
Okay, sheep. Oh, so you're talking about sacrificial pentagrams.
Pentagrams are pagan.
Yeah, but he's talking about sacrificial. He's wanting to get a sheep and cut its throat and do a blood sacrifice.
Yummy.
So we're going to write that down as Ryan's joke for the night. But no, in all seriousness, are there any new methods that you'd like to try this year?
Salt.
I mean, we could do a salt pentagram. You know, I mean, see if we had something
So we
negative.
could try like Himalayan salt and Morton salt and.
I mean, I know that
You
sounds
don't
funny.
try. You don't try Morton salt.
I mean, in all seriousness, I think it would be kind of beneficial to try different types of salts.
Black salt.
Yeah. See if they had different type of effects, because one might work, one might
Pepper doesn't
do nothing.
work.
That
It's not
is
salt.
well, salt.
Why does salt work?
Salt is a pure element, and pepper's a plant. So salt is a rock. That's why it's like a pure
Peppercorn.
natural element. So Ryan is wanting to try salt methods for this year of 2019. Nate, what would be a new method of protection that you would like to try to implement if we have to?
Holy water.
Holy water?
Yeah.
What about anointing oil? Would you guys
No.
be for that too?
No.
What if it has no fragrance?
No.
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 Why not anointing oil?
Because you.
You ruined the whole thing.
That is because we had a
Talk about somebody freaking
fake
out.
Dybbuk box.
Yeah, talk about somebody else freaking out over nothing.
And I am allowed to. I got excited. I wasn't freaking out. I was excited. I was protectively excited. Yeah, that's what it was. And I'm sorry, but my anointing oil smells good. It got rosemary in it.
smells disgusting.
Well, it's powerful. I'm sorry. Anyways,
And it
holy oil,
empty box.
holy water for
That's
Nate.
more for next week's podcast, guys. To learn about the nice box that Shooter bought.
Oh my god! Yeah, our finale for this season. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of crap from Ryan on that one. It's gonna be good. So save it all, build up all your good stuff you got to say towards Schuler.
Negativity.
Yeah, your negativity, and I'm gonna bring my salt and all my protection elements to fight you off. All right, so we have salt methods from Ryan, holy water methods from Nate. For me, I would actually like to try crystals and different rocks. Dwayne was saying a really good one to start with would be like obsidian. That'd be a rock that you'd want to try out and look into. And I mean, we've heard so many different people and so many different like methods with crystals and rocks. I mean, I'm really starting to get a little curious here to see what could or couldn't be of these. So I think that's a method I'd like to take into 2019 for protection, just to see what happens. You know, I think that'd be pretty cool. Are you getting some research up there, Nate?
I'm looking at holy water.
Okay. So these guys are doing their good old-fashioned research and stuff. I think Ryan's just kicking back. That's all right. But yeah, so I think we have our 2019 protection methods pretty much down. Good stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2019 I think is pretty much set. And I also think we covered this topic pretty well too. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. So we all would like to thank Mr. Dwayne Johnson for stopping by and talking with PILT on the Paraconnection podcast. Thank you, Dwayne, for coming on. We hope to have you on again and talk some more about your paranormal investigations that you have set up for this year and possibly some new protection methods or even, you know, the ones you talked about this time, how they've worked for you. So looking forward to that as well. As you guys know and remember, you can always contact Dwayne on Instagram or check out his Gmail, or you could even message us and we'll get you in contact with him if you're in the Oregon area or surrounding states. And also, you guys know that if you want to contact us, you can check us out on Google, type in PILT Paranormal. You'll find out all of our little social media outlets that we have. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, or website, and of course, our podcast. And eventually check us out on YouTube. Be sure to follow us and subscribe to us, all that good stuff if you want to keep up to date with us and our adventures. And also, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can drop us a message or a comment down below and let us know how you think, what you'd like to hear, or even if you'd like to get onto our podcast, or if you're in the local area, jump on the team with us and do a guest investigation. We're always open to those, of course. We're always open to help out people and also work alongside with them too. So, as always, we'd like to thank you guys for dropping by and listening to our podcast, and we hope to have you guys stop by once again and listen to our next, and actually, our finale podcast for our first half of the 2019 year. Nate, Ryan, you guys have anything else to say?
No.
Pretty much done?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening once again, and as always, stay frosty, and we'll talk with you next time.